Vivo's been one of the biggest names in the smartphone scene in India, with the company launching a number of really interesting phones over the last year and a half. Of these, we particularly enjoyed using the flagship X series of phones that showcase the best Vivo has to offer, both in terms of innovation and technology. And now, we have with us what looks to be the most interesting device in the series to date, the Vivo X70 Pro Plus. Today, I'm not only going to give you a glimpse of what the device has to offer in the design, display, camera and other departments, but also give you a clear indication about what is good and not so good about the Vivo X70 Pro Plus. But before we get to that, let me welcome you all to Digit.in, your one-stop shop for all the latest tech news, gadget reviews and more. So if you're new, remember to subscribe to our channel and hit the like button. Now, with that out of the way, let's get to the Vivo X70 Pro Plus. So what's good about the phone? Well, a lot actually. But let's get started with the design of the X70 Pro Plus. As has been the case with previous generation X series phones, the new device from Vivo is an absolute looker. In India, Vivo is selling the X70 Pro Plus in only one color, that is the Enigma Black, which honestly looks like an upgrade on the X60 Pro Plus, a device that still is one of the best phones to have launched in India over the past year. This has been made possible because of some interesting decisions by the design team at Vivo. From the moment you lay eyes on it to the moment when you actually hold it in your hands, the Vivo X70 Pro Plus establishes itself as a premium device, one that looks elegant and feels quite refined at the same time. At the back, we have a smooth satin finish back panel that keeps things simple, despite looking like nothing else that exists in the market currently. The back panel features curves on three sides, and its base minimalistic look is only broken by the device's rather fancy camera module. Much like the X60 series phones, the X70 Pro Plus also features a dual-step design for the module. However, the treatment of the same is quite different on the new Vivo device. As you can see on your screens right now, half of the module is being used by Vivo for 4 lenses and the phone's flash, while the other half is simply being used to enhance the looks of the device by giving the phone a dual-tone look at the back. The front of the phone features a curved display, which we're happy to report works as good as it looks. This is a 6.78-inch display, which on the spec sheet is a massive upgrade on the Full HD Plus panel found on the X60 Pro Plus. It's an LPTO panel that also promises improved power consumption because of its ability to switch dynamically between multiple refresh stops all the way going up to 120Hz. It's also one of the brightest displays we've tested on a phone this year. In our tests, the display peaked at around 780 nits of brightness and went all the way down to 3 nits at the lower level. This is a good enough range for daily use, with the company also promising a peak brightness of 1500 nits for HDR content. The display performance can also be tuned to suit the user's preference by switching between 3 display color profiles available on the phone. Of these, the professional profile conforms to the sRGB color space, while the bright is an expanded P3 color space that in our testing threw up mixed results. Using the Spectra Cal monitor, we found the phone's display to be the most color accurate in the professional profile. Running the color checker test, the display threw up an average delta E of 2.3 with a maximum error of 3.5. Both of these are very good numbers and are on par with some of the best displays we've tested over the last year or so. Testing the display with Calman also showed that the phone has a good RGB balance and has a balanced color tone to it, with an average color temperature of 6519. The gamut coverage was also good in this color profile, with the device covering well over the 100% range of the defined sRGB and the DCI P3 color space. In the bright profile, the screen's color accuracy went for a toss as the display started favoring oversaturated visuals over color accurate ones. So in our recommendation, if you wish to use the Vivo X70 Pro Plus's expansive display to its best, stick to the professional color profile in the phone and enjoy the great visual experiences that the device has to offer. Moving on, the camera performance is definitely a hit as the Vivo X70 Pro Plus improves ever so slightly on the already great performance of the Vivo X60 Pro Plus. The performance is backed by some powerful hardware that includes a primary 50 megapixel Samsung GN1 sensor and a 48 megapixel ultra-wide IMX598 sensor, which also uses the new gimbal system. And in case you're wondering, these are the same lenses that were used on the Vivo X60 Pro Plus. As such, the performance for these two cameras remains largely the same as we saw on the previous generation X series flagships. However, there is a slight upgrade in results with the use of Zeiss optical glass across all lenses, slightly enhancing the image quality and color accuracy of images. But the comparisons aside, in isolation, both these lenses provide the user with the power to click some of the most detail-rich and color-accurate shots using a smartphone right now. The real upgrades, and as a result, improvement in performance is seen in the telephoto lenses on the phone. There are two of these on the device, with the first being an 8 megapixel periscope style lens which can be used to click 5x optical zoom shots. As we found out, this particular lens performs the best in well-lit situations, with the performance deteriorating as the light decreases. The second telephoto camera is a 12 megapixel IMX663 lens which is used on the phone for clicking portrait shots. Because this lens also brings with itself OIS, it provides good results, with photos clicked displaying a creamy bokeh effect and good details. On top of that, these shots also come out with good dynamic range and sharpness. Vivo claims that much of the improvements in photography performance is down to the company's new V1 imaging chip. However, its presence is felt the most in the phone's low light performance. This in-house imaging chip from Vivo definitely helps reduce noise in low light shots and also helps improve color accuracy in these shots. To be honest, the difference is not massive compared to the Vivo X60 series phones, but that's mostly because Vivo had already managed to crack the low light photography game with its last generation of flagship phones. Also, just in case you needed another reason to buy the X70 Pro Plus, there is also an IR blaster on the phone for controlling a host of gadgets around you. While this is a feature that we usually see on lower end mobiles, we're glad that it's also available on the ultra premium X70 Pro Plus. So what's not so good about the Vivo X70 Pro Plus? Well, the device is a very strong offering that offers impressive hardware and promises powerful performance at all times. However, in real life, the phone does not manage to reach the high levels that you typically expect from a phone with such powerful hardware under the hood. Despite being equipped with the Snapdragon 888 Plus chipset, the Vivo X70 Pro Plus failed to blow our socks off with its performance. Well, you don't believe us, right? Sample these benchmark scores showing up on your screens right now. As you can see, on Antutu, the X70 Pro Plus has scored less than iQOO 7 Legend, which is powered by the Snapdragon 888 chipset. This was also the case for other major benchmarks such as Geekbench and PC Mark II. Interestingly, in doing so, the Vivo X70 Pro Plus has somehow managed to squander the around 5% gain it enjoys in pure processing power over the slightly lower clocked Snapdragon 888 chipset. The most likely reason for this is a tuning issue from the company's end, something which could be easily fixed by Vivo in the coming days via software update. But at the time of testing and shooting this video, there's still no official word on this update. Another reason why the X70 Pro Plus isn't reaching the performance levels that it should be is that the phone's chipset is being throttled too early in its work cycle. While testing the chipset for throttling, we noticed the phone's SoC being throttled to around 80% of its performance. Although this is not a very bad number, what was interesting to see was the chipset throttled to this level only after a minute or two of testing. Again, this looks like a software issue, one that should be fixed soon by the company with the help of an OTA update. The gaming performance, however, wasn't too affected by this, as the Snapdragon 888 Plus chipset had more than enough in its kitty to make sure it handled titles such as Call of Duty Mobile and Asphalt 9 Legends without too much trouble. The same was also the case for apps of daily use such as Twitter, Facebook and Netflix. Apart from the chipset, the only other area where we feel Vivo could have offered a little more is in the battery department. And that's also not because it doesn't perform well. but because it doesn't offer those little extras that a lot of other competing brands have started to now offer. For example, there is no support for power delivery on the Vivo X70 Pro Plus, which ensures that for all intents and purposes, the X70 Pro Plus can only be charged using the in-the-box adapter. Worse, the use of proprietary charging technology on the charger also ensures this can only fast charge supported Vivo phones and not your secondary phone, or for that matter, your new laptop that supports charging over power delivery. Suffice to say, not the best solution for a flagship in 2021. But if this isn't a concern for you, then the battery life on the device is decent, as we managed to get at least a day's worth of use on single charge from the X70 Pro Plus. So let's get to answering the most important question. Is the Vivo X70 Pro Plus a good buy? Well, in my opinion it is. While it is not perfect at the moment, there is definitely scope for it to become quite close to perfect very soon. From its design to cameras and the presence of a really gorgeous display, there's a lot to like about the Vivo X70 Pro Plus. What's needed now are a couple of software updates to iron out the bugs and further enhance the overall performance of the device. It is only then that we will have a near perfect device that will be very difficult to not recommend. My hope is it won't take Vivo too long to do that. So that was a review of the Vivo X70 Pro Plus. If you like the video, please share it with your friends and hit the bell icon so that you don't miss out on any of our content. Once again, thanks for watching.